Good morning and welcome to Victory Vibes with Vicky. And I am excited about Christmas. I love Christmas. It's a wonderful time of year. People are super nice. It seems like people are in a giving attitude and spirit, and it really makes this year end on a happy note. But I wanted to talk today just a little bit about what does the significance of the baby born in Bethlehem over 2,000 years ago, what significance is that to you? Not only that, I wanted to ask, how is his birth, how has it impacted your life? Has it impacted your life? Think about that for a second. And last of all, I want to talk about how will his birth impact your future? These are important questions for us to consider and to ask. First of all, I want to talk about Prophet Isaiah. He lived over 700 years before Jesus was born. And yet we find in his prophecies that he prophesied about the coming of Jesus. Let's turn in our Bible to Isaiah. Let's start with chapter 7, and let's read verse 14. And the prophet Isaiah said, "Therefore the Lord himself will give you a sign. Behold, the virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel." Wow, Emmanuel. I love that song that we sing. Emmanuel, Emmanuel, his name is called Emmanuel. Beautiful song. Now let's turn to chapter 9, and again, 700 years before. We find he is also still prophesying about the child. In verse 6, he says, "For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government will be upon his shoulder, and his name will be called Wonderful, Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace there will be no end, upon the throne of David and over his kingdom, to order it and establish it with judgment and justice from the time forward, even forever. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this." How exciting. So Isaiah has prophesied, and we find that this baby that was to be born was going to be bringing a lot of different things to the table. We heard in the word Counselor, Wonderful, Prince of Peace, all of these significant things. Also in that chapter, you'll read about joy. Read Isaiah. It's awesome. Anyway, I wanted to talk just a second about the significant to you that this baby was born. You know, that was a long time ago. It was in Bethlehem. I read about it in the Bible, but what does that mean to me today? Think about that. What does that mean to you? What if he would not have been born? What would your life be like? How would it be different? One of the things that Jesus brings, not only peace, is hope. Hope for what? Hope for a future? Yes, definitely for a future. You know, because he came as a baby, the Jewish people were looking for a king. They were looking for someone to deliver them from the tyranny that they were having to endure, the slavery, all the injustices that they were having to endure for hundreds of years. And they were looking for that person. But I think they were thinking about a guy coming in on a white horse as king. Well, he is going to come again, and that is exactly how he will come. But first, as prophesied by Isaiah, he is coming as a baby. Why? So he would know what you and I go through. He would know what it feels like to have growing pains. He would know what it would feel like to be sick, to feel hurt, to grieve the death of a friend, of a loved one. He wanted to experience what we experience, and he did. I find it interesting that the wise men came and they brought gifts. Today, when we have a baby born, what do? We bring gifts. And we usually bring blankets and, cute little stuffed toys. But these wise men came from a far distance because of a star. And they came to bring gifts to the baby. And they brought gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Well, what is Mary going to do with gold, frankincense, and myrrh? Once again, this was prophetic because the gold represented the fact that this baby is going to be a king. Wow, yes, he is. And it also represented the fact the frankincense was used by the priest. It was the fragrance in the holy temple. And he is our high priest. We can take our prayers and our needs to him because he is our intercessor and he is our high priest. And lastly, they brought myrrh. And we know that myrrh was used in burial. And he prophesied his own death. But his death was not just to die and lay in the ground, because he rose again. And his death brings that victory that we are so excited about. I could talk a lot more about this because it's very impacting to me. But again, I want to end with my questions. What is the significance to you that this baby was born? The significance, if you haven't figured it out yet, is you have salvation through Jesus, the baby. If he would have never been born, you would still be slaughtering animals once a year for your sins if you were trying to live a holy life. If you didn't care, then, maybe you wouldn't have. And how has his birth impacted you? Man, I hope it's impacted you a lot. I go to him every day. I pray. I intercede. I am blessed so much by him every single day because he loves to give me and you gifts. He loves to give, and I am blessed. I'm saved. I ask him into my heart. That's all you have to do. Ask him into your heart. Tell him you love him and ask him to forgive you of your sins, and he will do it. And then how has he impacted your future? Well, if you prayed that prayer and you meant it, your future is with him in heaven. There is a heaven and there is a hell. And we choose which place we're going to go. And by not choosing, we chose. Ouch. Yeah. So I choose heaven and I choose to live with him. And because he didn't stay in the ground and he rose from the dead and he took the keys of death and of hell and of the grave, we have victory. And so this victory vibe this week is victory because of a baby that was born and how significant that birth was. Join me next week and we will do another study. We'll talk some more and hope you enjoy this new victory vibe